Welcome to a special episode of Salsidoparanormal. I'm your host, James Salsido, and tonight I'm continuing my review of the Twilight Zone TV series. As always, you can find all episodes of the show, along with links to social media and other ways to contact me at the podcast page, and that is salsidoparanormal.podbean.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.podbean.com. Always happy to hear from you all, whether you have comments or questions or topic suggestions or accounts of paranormal experiences, whether they're your own or from others that you trust. Happy to either read those or have you join me on the show to talk about them. Thank you all for listening, whether you are here for the live streams on Discord, or if you listen on the podcast or YouTube feeds, or on the Trouble Minds Radio Network, KUAP Digital Broadcasting. There you can hear replays of 2 episodes of my show every night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, right before Trouble Minds Radio comes on. And as always, I want to thank Michael Strange, host of Trouble Minds Radio, for having me on the network and putting all my shows up there. If you'd like to support my show, there are some different ways to do that. You can always share the show with others and rate and review it on your favorite podcast platform. You can find books I've written over on Amazon, in paranormal fiction and nonfiction, including my most recent nonfiction book, Salsido Paranormal Experiences, which has material directly from the show. And that's my most recent release, but I have others there as well. You can also sign up for the Patreon page and get 1 extra episode per week whenever possible of true paranormal stories from the web. Or you can just make one-time donations through PayPal. Support is never expected, but always appreciated, as there are expenses in making these shows, from equipment to research materials to travel expenses in some cases. And I think that takes care of everything. So, again, just for anyone that is starting off at this point in the show, if you are, that's fine, but I would recommend going back and finding the previous episodes I did on the Twilight Zone, reviews of the previous episodes of that show, because I've already reviewed the first 16 episodes of the first season, and so that's a lot of fun. Might be fun. A lot of fun to watch those shows, and I'm guessing it'd be fun to sort of start at the beginning and maybe even check out the show yourself. But this will sort of, if you're wondering what I think about the previous episodes, there are shows to listen to where I talk about them. So, and this is just a part of a series of shows I'm going to do whenever I have a chance on sort of entertainment media and the paranormal, and the stories that are featured in these shows and the similarities they have to reported events that people have experienced. So that's sort of the whole reason for doing these shows, is to check out those possible connections. So, getting to the material here, I am on, let's see here. I'm still in season 1, and I'm on episode 17, I believe it is. Let me make sure here. And yes. So this one is called The Fever. And so this one involves a couple, Franklin and Flora Gibbs, and they go to Las Vegas because she won a slogan contest. And so she's excited to be there. But Flora is excited to be there, but Franklin is not. He detests gambling, but his wife is excited about it and about the vacation. And so while they're in a casino, Flora puts a nickel in a slot machine, and Franklin goes into a almost a little speech about what he thinks about gambling and people that gamble, and basically thinks it's just wasting money. And so she convinces him to let her pull the lever for the machine, since she already had the nickel in there. And but of course nothing happens. Doesn't win anything on the spin. And so this makes, of course, Franklin happy, and he asks her if they can go back to their room so they can just to get ready for dinner. And as they're walking, Franklin is given a silver dollar by a man who makes him use it in a different machine. And this, to me, is almost the more paranormal part of the show. The seemingly random encounter with someone that Franklin doesn't know. That the man appears to be drunk, which is what the summary in here says as well. But this idea, to me anyway, of either reality or the universe or some external consciousness or force or being sort of intervening and causing things to happen in a way that the people around that are there do not expect. And so Franklin is sort of rushed into putting the silver dollar into a different machine, and he wins, and he wants to keep the money that they win, and not lose it, and not give it back to the casino through more gambling the way other people do. And as they leave, Franklin starts feeling weird, and he starts to hear sounds that are similar to this slot machine, but the sounds also seem to be a voice that is calling his name in a sort of monstrous sounding mechanical almost voice. Excuse me. And so Franklin continues to hear that voice as he tries to sleep in his room. He and Flora are in their room, and he gets out of the bed, and tells Flora that he can't keep tainted money, and tainted is his idea of what the money is, and so he's going to just get rid of it by putting it back in the machine. So later on, Flora goes to the casino and finds Franklin playing that machine, and he's still there, and it seems like now he's obsessed with the machine, with playing. And Flora tries to get him to stop, and he says that he has lost so much that he has to try to win some of it back. So his mindset has changed, and so Flora is getting more and more concerned because she knows that this is not like him, and so she keeps trying to get him to leave the machine, and he gets angry and upset when at the more that she does this, and he says that the machine is inhuman, and that it's sort of it's teasing him, and it's keeping him there somehow. And the casino workers that are there watch and talk about him as he plays and ignores his wife's pleas to go back to bed. And so as he gets down to the point where he's at his last dollar again, he puts it in the machine, and the machine doesn't work. It malfunctions, and the game doesn't play out. The reels that are part of the slot machine don't work. And he loses his temper, and he knocks the machine over, and is taken out of the casino and escorted out, basically. So later on, after they're back in bed again, Franklin tells Flora that he is sure that that last dollar would have hit another jackpot, but the machine deliberately broke just so that it would not happen, that it wouldn't happen. And meanwhile, he starts hearing the machine calling his name again. So now at this point, he sees it coming down the hallway toward their room, because he hears it out in the hallway, and he goes and looks out of the hallway, and it's there. And it seems to be but it shouldn't be there, obviously. So the let's see here. The machine has changed. I didn't notice this, but I'm looking at the summary here of the episode. The coin hopper, I guess the place where the coins would come out, is covered by a hood, mechanical hood, I'm guessing, that has a large smile on it. But Flora doesn't see or hear anything. So the implication is that this is in that is in his Franklin's own mind. And this is, of course, the fever, in a way, I think, that the episode title is referring to. And so every time he looks away, every time Franklin looks away and looks back, the machine is closer to him, almost as if it's coming after him. And he keeps on backing up and running and stumbling until he gets to the window of their room. And he tries to go backward again as the machine is getting closer. Again, Flora doesn't see or hear anything except for Franklin acting in a strange manner. And he, of course, falls out through the window. And, of course, I'm guessing this is a multi-story building, because when he lands, he dies. And the show ends with the police standing over him, and they have talked to Flora, and she says that he hasn't slept in 24 hours. And the casino manager comments that he's never seen anyone develop a gambling addiction so quickly and severely. Of course, gambling addiction, that's something that happens in real life. I mean, if you listen to any kind of advertisement for a casino these days, there is usually some kind of a contact information for getting help if for anyone that is in that situation. So, but anyway, as everyone is talking, the last dollar that Franklin had put into the machine rolls across the pavement and stops at his hand, which of course now he's dead. And of course the camera turns in a different direction, and from the direction that the plane came from, and it shows the slot machine there. So then, of course, the idea is, how is that still there if it was all in his imagination? Or is it there somehow in some other, I guess, technically some other realm that no one else sees it, but it's somehow still there? Some kind of, I guess, other dimensional, sentient, who knows what machine. But to me, the more paranormal aspect of this show is the way, like I said at the beginning, that that the whole thing starts with this random person sort of bumping into Franklin and getting him to start the process that leads to his death in the end there. So it was a neat episode. It's the whole moving slot machine thing was done as well as I think it could have been. It was still a bit, I don't know. It was weird because it's just I've never seen a show quite like that where something that is so stationary keeps vanishing and reappearing in the ways that it did in this episode. So, but I mean, who knows what was going on there? It is a TV show after all, but yeah, that was a neat one, just in the concepts of it all in general. And I think that's all I'll say for that episode. We'll move on to the next one here. So that would be episode 18. Let's see here. Yes, 18. And that one is called The Last Flight. And so this episode is about Flight Lieutenant Terrence, or Terry as he's known, Decker. And he's of the 56th Squadron Royal Flying Corps. And that's CORPS. He lands his plane, his biplane, on an American airbase in France after flying through a strange cloud. That in and of itself is amazing because, well, I guess we'll get to it here. I'll save it for I'll explain it as we go through. He's as soon as he lands, the people that are stationed there, including one of the marshals, Wilson. This Wilson is dumbfounded by Decker's appearance and the biplane. And Decker is also not sure what's going on, in part because of the cloud and also because of the other aircraft on the site are all a lot more modern, a lot more different than his is. And so he's taken into custody and questioned by the American base commander, Major General George Harper, and by this other Major Wilson. Decker identifies himself as being from the UK's Royal Flying Corps, which was apparently the predecessor of the modern Royal Air Force. And so Harper and Wilson are also don't know what's going on because they don't recognize the uniform. Decker asks where he is, and Wilson so everyone is trying to figure out what's going on here. So Wilson and Harper ask Decker what the date is, because they're trying to figure out what's going on, and they're already sort of getting an idea, but they don't really believe it. And of course, Decker says, well, the date is March 5th, 1917. And they say, well, no, it's, in response, these two majors say, well, no, it's March 5th, 1959. And when they say that, Decker is stunned. So Decker learns that his flying partner Alexander Mackay is an air vice marshal, and is a hero in World War II, who saved hundreds, if not thousands, of lives by basically shooting down 3 German bombers over London one night during the Blitz back in World War II. So, and he's also coming back to the base for a meeting and an inspection. And Decker says it's impossible because, as far as he knows, Mackay is dead. And so Harper is trying to figure out what's going on. He asks Decker to provide his belongings, and basically puts Decker into custody. Later on, Wilson questions Decker, and Decker uses a private nickname for Mackay. And so apparently there was so Decker confesses that he is a coward and flew through that strange cloud because he didn't think he could survive this battle that he and Mackay were in, and he is the one that's responsible for Mackay, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, being killed. And so everyone is getting this picture that somehow Decker traveled back through time. Wilson suggests that someone may have helped Mackay. I'll just start calling it the same Mackay, I'm not sure. And may have helped him. And Decker, because Mackay is alive, even though Decker thought that Mackay had to be dead. And Decker realizes that if he really did go back in time, and he did it by going through this cloud, maybe he could go back because the cloud is still there. And maybe he could go back and be the one that saved Mackay's life after all. And of course, he's supposed to be they're in their custody now. It's because they're trying to figure out what's going on. In the end, he escapes and flies back out and vanishes. And so, of course, Mackay eventually gets there after, and Wilson and Harper talk to him about Decker. And they find out from Decker that they find out from Mackay that Decker did save him. The problem is they still have all of Decker's belongings, including his ID and a photo. They still have all of Decker's belongings there at the base from when they had him in custody. And so the idea is that Decker succeeded going back into the past and making sure that Mackay survived in the past. And that's the only reason, somehow, that Mackay was able to be there. So basically have this second chance and also time travel story here. And there are reports from people of traveling through clouds and appearing in different places and times. So that's all the time we have for this episode. Thank you all for listening, and I'll talk to you all next time on Salsidoparanormal. Take care.